Billy Batson. I choose you as champion. Say my name so my powers will become yours. Shazam.
Are you for real?
Say, okay? Say my name.
Hi everyone, it's Charlie. This is going to be my non-spoilery Shazam review. I'll talk a little bit about what I liked about the movie, what I felt like didn't work, and where it fits into the pantheon of modern DC films. There is an IMAX ticket giveaway too. All you need to do to enter is be a subscriber and leave a comment about Shazam on the video. So here we go. Movie itself is a little bit like Christopher Reeve's Superman, classic Superman mixed with Tom Hanks' Big. They even said as much when they first started shooting. They were starting to post behind the scenes videos, and they literally mentioned Superman and Tom Hanks' Big. But it's also a little bit Goonies with a little bit of Stranger Things energy, but with magic. If you've been a comic book reader or you've read some version of him when he used to be Captain Marvel in the classic Shazam comics, they've sort of rebooted that during the Rebirth era, and they are sort of leaning on the Stranger Things of it all with the Shazam family. But it does lean hard on the Shazam family, so if you're a big fan of that genre of films, I feel like they did a good job with this. We gotta talk about Zachary Levi though. Everybody had so many questions when he was first cast. He doesn't look huge, but I feel like he was born to play this character. He's got this level of childlike innocence in his adult body that is the Shazam character from the comics. If you've ever seen any of his episodes of Chuck, it's a little bit like that. A little bit of a man-child, but in a light, playful way, and he could not be more jazzed up to be a superhero, which is basically what happens to him during the Chuck series. So I feel like lately, DC movies have been a breath of fresh air where you have people like Aquaman's character and now Shazam's character that are generally jazzed up and exude this positive vibe about trying to be the most that they could possibly be. In the case of Aquaman, obviously he's the king of Atlantis. Shazam is kind of like the king of magic on Earth, technically. He's sort of the guardian of the Rock of Eternity and the Seven Deadly Sins, just like he is in the comics. But the movie itself does a good job of explaining the mythology without getting too bogged down in it. And the film does a great job of referencing things from all over the different eras of the Shazam comics, from the classic stuff, from the New 52, the more recent Rebirth stuff. When it comes to the story, they were really upfront about what they were doing, what they were not doing. So, I mean, I don't feel like it's a spoiler to say that Black Adam is not a big character during the Shazam movie, even though The Rock was cast as Black Adam a couple years ago. There's a certain tonal mix that they're going for that he just doesn't jive with, and I don't think they're ready for that character. So when we get to my spoiler review and we start talking about Easter eggs, I'll talk about more Black Adam stuff and where the future of this character is. There are so many references to the other DC movies that it's going to take me a couple more times of watching this to catch all the Easter eggs. So if you really are big fans of Easter egg hunts, this movie will keep you busy for a little while. But I actually think that the movie gets much better in the second half when they move past the Batman, Superman, Justice League references of it all, and it just focuses on doing its own thing. For all of its cheesiness and self-aware jokes, there are genuinely some hardcore action scenes, but nothing that will traumatize children that you may take to this. If you have younger tweens or any that you've taken to other superhero DC or Marvel movies, they'll probably be fine. But given all the criticisms that people have levied against the marketing and the trailers, it'll be really funny to talk about the WTF moments when we get to spoiler videos in the next couple of weeks. Dylan Grazier, who played Freddie Freeman, he was a great sidekick to young Billy when it was the Asher Angel version of the character, and adult Billy when it was Zachary Levi walking around in the costume. I definitely prefer the scenes where it's Zachary Levi, Shazam, walking around with him. They had really good chemistry together. I wasn't a big fan of Asher Angels before. I don't watch a lot of Disney Channel programming, and that's kind of the area he comes from. So if you have young kids in your family and you're taking them to see this movie, they might recognize him more than they recognize Zachary Levi. His performance was pretty authentic to Jeff Johns' New 52, Billy Batson, and the writing was generally faithful. There were a couple of big changes they had to make because of things that they didn't include from that storyline, but I'll talk about that when I get to my spoiler video. The director David Sandberg did a great job. He's been talking a lot about how he came onto the project. Most of the time, you'd be surprised that small indie directors come on to do these, but it's been happening more and more lately with big Marvel and big DC films. David Sandberg is mostly known for doing small horror films like James Wan, which is a nice coincidence because he just did Aquaman. But the reason why the studios like these types of people so much is because they're much better at working with actors than typical big-budget tentpole directors. They have some great action scenes. It's genuinely exciting seeing magic on screen in the DC universe for the first time. There's so many great magic characters that I hope that they get to eventually. The movie itself is set during the Christmas holiday, so if you're a big fan of action movies or any movies at all set during the Christmas period, it just provides for a lot of really interesting story scenarios and visual elements in the film. Christmas tends to be a much more colorful time of year because of all the lights, the Christmas trees. It lends itself a lot better to the tone and the story that the film is going with. You know, a little bit lighter, Christopher Reeve Superman mixed with Tom Hanks Big. So the story is sort of like this childhood coming-of-age story in a world where the Justice League exists, about the families that you make for yourself, not necessarily the ones that you're born with, about overcoming childhood trauma. The villain, Mark Strong, you'll recognize from Green Lantern and a billion other things. He does a really good job of playing big movie villains, but if you're still bummed out about the way Green Lantern turned out, that was so long ago, but people are still kind of salty about it. This film does make good use of him, and it is very aware of the way that it uses him. So in the way the Green Lantern got a little bit hammy with the way it treated his characters, Shazam is very aware of what it's doing at all times. There was that recent trailer where they have like the funny parody fight mid-air that I posted a video for.
Only I have the power to unleash.
Wait, what?
You will beg for mercy.
Are you making some of my big evil guy speech right now or something? You're like a mile away from me. All I see is mouth moving.
As I feast on your heart.
Oh, whatever, screw it.
You have Mark Strong's Dr. Sivana mid-air, evil guy speechifying to Billy, who's so far away that he can't hear a word that he's saying, and he just stops him. Okay, fine, I can't hear you, so we're gonna stop this and just start punching each other again. I wouldn't say that it revolutionizes the superhero genre, but it does a lot of the same things that Deadpool did. To his credit, though, Deadpool has also since then taken a lot of shots at the DC movies.
Dubstep's for pussies.
You're so dark.
Do you sure you're not from the DC universe?
The music was great, the original score was great. Something that you don't think about often too is that eventually all these heroes will team up in another Justice League film and they'll each have their own theme songs. Those theme songs will have to blend well together. There are a couple really cool twists in the story we'll have to wait till spoilers to talk about. There are two post-credit scenes. There's a mid-credit scene and an actual genuine post-credit scene, so do stay through the entire credits. The film genuinely wears its heart on its sleeve, but there are a couple moments that are a little too over the top, like over the top. But the movie itself is meant to be very self-aware, so I feel like if you go into the movie understanding that, then a lot of the jokes will work a lot better for you. My new ranking of the DC movies from least favorite to favorite, some of these are grouped together because I like them about the same in terms of quality. But bottom of the barrel is Suicide Squad, no surprise there. I feel like that's at the bottom of almost everybody's list. Then Justice League, then Batman v Superman, just because I feel like that film was less changed by the studio. Justice League was a bit of a Franken mess where you have one director's vision, then you get Joss Whedon coming in at the 11th hour and trying to change what the original vision was going to be with not enough time, so it just winds up being released in a very incomplete way and you get the mustache gate of it all. So that's why Batman v Superman is higher than Justice League on my list, because regardless of how you feel about the movie, it is genuinely one director's vision for an actual story. Then Man of Steel, which was obviously also complete vision from a single director with a little bit of help from Christopher Nolan. The tone was a little too dour for a modern version of Superman for my liking, but hopefully Henry Cavill will get a chance to make that Man of Steel sequel, so they'll get a really solid Superman film out before he decides to leave the character or before another big Justice League team up. Then above that is actually a pretty solid three-way tie between Aquaman, Wonder Woman, and Shazam, because they all have their strengths and their weaknesses. There are a couple things about each of those movies that I feel like just doesn't work, but for the most part, it feels like the universe is going in a really positive direction. So if you've been really hoping for a solid DC movie universe, it looks like they're pretty much there. Like Shazam is probably going to be another big hit for them. It's a little too early to do box office predictions, but I'll say I'm expecting it to do near Wonder Woman numbers, which is great because I think they spent a little bit less money on it, so it doesn't have to earn quite as much money to make it into profit and earn a green light for a sequel. But the director did say that they were actually talking about doing a sequel and he would come back for that. So regardless of what kind of Black Adam crossover movies they do in the future, there will be Shazam sequels. Zachary Levi also said that he really wants to be in Justice League, but it's probably going to be a couple years before they make another Justice League film, so we don't need to worry too much about that right now. Overall, really solid hit. They deserve a round of applause. Once you do have a chance to see the movie, let me know what you think of it in the comments below. My spoiler full review will post sometime either next week or when we get a little bit closer to the movie. Then I'll do post-credit scenes, I'll do Easter eggs, all those videos. Just leave your requests in the comments below if you have big questions. There'll be more DC posting soon. I'll name a giveaway winner when I post that. While you wait for everything, click here for all my Shazam trailer videos, and click here to learn who the most powerful Avenger is heading into Avengers Endgame and Marvel Phase 4. Thank you so much for watching. Everybody stay awesome. I'll see you guys tonight.